Hey traders, John Howell here. I thought I'd do this video for you right now since I've just come back from a run. I've got a I got a 14-kilometer race coming up soon. I know this is a trading channel, but thought I'd open up a bit more about my personal life and what I'm doing here. By the way, see these guys here? This is this one right here. See that right here? That is amazing. One of the in-home saunas only costs about $200-300, and I promise you, if you just set this up at home, this is my second living room. I've got two living rooms in this home. So this here is amazing from there. So I normally put it on. Sometimes like at night time, about 20 minutes at night to hop in there. I didn't start there, right? I started at 10, then I went to 15, and now I can comfortably do 20. I probably could do 25 now, because even 20, I'm not like out of breath or anything like that. So anyway, good for recovery, and there's so many health benefits behind that as well too. So obviously I'm not sponsored by them, and I've had this now for a couple of years, guys, and I think it's like $200-300. It's only a small one, but the amount of money you gotta save, plus also to have it at home, and it takes about, you fill it up with water. It's obviously a steam sauna. You fill it up with water. That's that thing. See that thing behind there? That thing right there that you guys can see in the camera? That's that little thing there. It looks little, but you fill it up with water. You press it on. You close this up. Set it all up. Obviously, I've got my chair here. This is the chair. That chair right there. This is what I normally sit in there. And yeah, so it's actually pretty cool to actually have this in this level 3 here. So it's actually pretty cool. So again, guys, and the health benefits, even if you don't use it for recovery, the health benefits of just doing this, and it feels amazing as well too. So anyway, so I've just come back from a 10-kilometer run, because I've got a 14-kilometer race coming up soon. From there, from that there, I just finished doing High Rocks a couple of weeks ago here in Sydney. So I just finished doing High Rocks. I've got a 14-kilometer race. It's called City to the Surf. I'm doing that. Then in September, I've got another 10-kilometer run I'm doing. Then in October this year, I've got my next boxing fight. I've had some fights in the past. For many years, I've been training boxing. And now my boxing coach, who is also the Australian champion here in Australia, he literally just messaged me this morning. I'm doing this video for you. Some dates in October. So we're going to lock that in for October. And then come December at the end of this year, down in Melbourne, for you guys overseas, Melbourne, right? Obviously this side of Australia, the downside. In Melbourne, there's another High Rocks event, and I'm going to be doing the doubles with someone who I did the High Rocks event with in the past as well too. So there's a lot of things happening in my life, guys, but one of the things that I really want to, the reason why I'm doing this video for you is, one, just to give you guys a bit of background about who I am as a person and so on and so forth. For me personally, I love training, and I love sort of pushing myself and see where I'm going, with my life and so on and so forth, and just continue to push myself, But I really want to encourage you guys to think about momentum in life, okay? I really want to encourage you guys to think about your momentum in life. And what I mean by that is that when it comes down to, the momentum we have in life, there is, the thing is that to get momentum in life, right, to actually start to see that momentum, we need to stick at something, you know what I mean? And one of the big issues I'm finding when it comes to, when it comes to the trading, is that I never started to gain real, true growth where I started to see some really big successful trades. We're talking like, 6 figures and more, multiple 6 figures, like that sort of type of trading and success. I never started to see that until many months and sometimes years of focusing on the one thing and becoming so good at that one thing, that one approach, that I started to see these opportunities, and then I was ready to take advantage of them. And I'm liking that into I'm liking that into just, in life in general. And one of the big things I've learned over my last 20 years of being involved with the actual markets itself, is a lot of the times, there's a lot of people out there who are just focusing on, I want to make money now. And when I say to someone, it might take you 1 or 2 years for you to start to make money from trading. I'll give you a real life example. I went to the nutrition store to grab some stuff, right? Protein powders and stuff like that. And I've been talking to this lady. Her name's Elle. Elle, if you're watching, you're on the spotlight. And I was talking to her about, and she knows what I do now and so on and so forth. And she's like, I've been thinking about getting into that so I can make some extra money. And I'm like, and I said to her, it's not as easy as that. I said, you got to be prepared to put in at least a couple of years of focused and proper study and proper learning before you can really start to see the growth. I said to her, and she goes, and I said to her that one of the biggest issues that you're probably going to face is, one, you don't even know what to focus on. You don't even know what to learn. You're probably going to learn a whole bunch of stuff from there, and it's going to go down that path. So I said, if you can be prepared to spend 1, maybe 2 years of learning before you actually even start to really get a good handle and really understand it, then I believe you can do really well from it. And she goes, 2 years? I got to wait 2 years to start? And then it's like, phew, cuts it straight off. And I'm like, I said, oh, okay, no problem. Then I left, and after that conversation from there, right? So the whole thing about that was, I just sat there and I thought, why am I in a position where I am right now myself? Right? I've been trading markets for 20 years, but what kept me in the game? There was a time there where I was $250,000 in debt. Right? I borrowed money from a friend at the time, and I borrowed money from a friend at the time, and what ended up happening was, a long story short, but I ended up giving that money to another fund manager. He actually ended up losing it, so I became $250,000 in debt. That's how I became $250,000 in debt. I borrowed $200,000 from a friend. I shit scared. I didn't want to trade it, so I told him I'm going to give it to a fund manager. He gave it to a fund manager. The fund manager lost it, but I personally guaranteed him a $50,000 profit from his 200 in 12 months. So that's how I became $250,000. I didn't actually lose the money, but because I was personally signed on the document, even though my mate also agreed to put the money over to this fund manager at the time, I became $250,000 in debt. And even through that $250,000 in debt and going to court over this and all that sort of stuff, I went through this process of, like, I said to myself, like, I was really thinking ahead, right? And this is what I want you guys to think about as well too with your own trading, is that I want you to be thinking ahead. And this is also comes down to how you're approaching the market as well. And what I mean by this is that I said to myself that even at that time, I was $250,000 in debt, and it's amazing, you know what I mean? Like, before I was in debt, I was starting to do pretty well from trading. Not really good, not how I'm doing right now. I'm doing the best I ever have been right now, because after 20 years, everything is really, really clicking. And it has done now. For the last 5 years, things have been really clicking for me. It's taken a good 15 years to get here. And that's when it comes to my coaching program. My job was taking me 20 years to figure out what to focus on, what to do, how to spot the opportunities, how to have good trade management, know when to stay in and trade and all that sort of stuff. If you're interested in that sort of stuff, guys, and you'd like to join me every day where I can coach you and give you that 20-year shortcut instead of you going down the path of trying to figure it out yourself, then if you go to getjohnshelp.com, or there should be that link in the description there, you can go fill out the application form, and you and I will personally have a good chat on the phone, and I'll see if I can help you out with your trading there. But I was talking back to the story with the lady there. where she's just like, no, I can't wait 2 years. And even for myself, one of the things that I realized time and time again, and I see it with her so much, and I'm like, is this how most people think? And I'm like, and the answer is yes. And that is how most people think is like, I want to make the money now. Like, I don't want to wait 2 years. I don't want to wait 5 years, right? And so like a lot of people are like that right now. One thing that for me personally, that what stuck me in the game at trading and stuck me there so long, but I also got better, right? I also learned what to do and what not to do. It's one of the blessings that I have had is that recognizing that I'm screwing up big time and I need to adjust my thinking. I need to change something. I started investing some really big, and I started investing some well over $10,000 at a time with my mentor, who then started to help me. I've now invested well over 6 figures with him personally, and it's definitely been well worth it. But I talk to you guys about momentum in life, right? Because it does take time, right? Momentum in life. And one thing that I do say to you guys is that one thing we do know is there is focus in whatever you're doing and becoming good at that. There's no secret sauce, right? There's no like, oh my God, this is the secret to trading, right? But what it is becoming so good at one approach. Unfortunately, most traders, and 90% of traders who are watching this right now, don't even have that one approach. They just have like a general approach. Even worse, they don't even have any approach at all, but how they're trading is short-term gratification. I'm looking to make $1,000 this week. That's their mindset, right? Which is stopping them from, you guys know yourself, right? It's like for me, like, no, how I have success for years is there's periods of time throughout the year, and I'm in that process right now for the last 3-4 months where I'm jumping on some really big profits. Right? And you start to do, $20,000, $30,000 investment per trade, and you start to do 200%, 300%. My Ethereum did 500% return on my risk on the trade, on an Ethereum trade. For you guys who have been watching me, see what I'm saying here, right? But then I might go through a bit of a quiet season for a month or two, which means there might not be many trades, and therefore I don't trade, right? But at the end of the year, guess what? I've had a really good year. Why? Because I've had 2 or 3 maybe spurts of blocks, couple of months in a row, I've had these really big profits, right? I also had my losses as well too, but my last loss I had was about a 30% loss. A 30% loss, which was ZBH. Platinum was a 250% profit. Groupon, my last Groupon trade was 300% profit. And my Ethereum trade right now, and I'm still in it right now, is over 500% return on my risk. Not my margin, but the amount of risk that I was actually putting on the trade, it's over 500%. Right? And then now I'm actually in 2 trades right now. I'm still in my Ethereum trade, but then I'm in 2 new trades right now for the last week. And over the next month or 2, they're probably going to generate another few 100% return over the next couple months as I be patient with them, right? So it's trade selection and then learning proper trade management to know, okay, should I stay in this to give it a bit more time? And it's not just guessing, right? That's the reason why my trading is so successful, because I get into good trades that's likely to make a good move, but then I know how to manage it properly, and therefore I'm in it for a month or sometimes 2 months, and through that couple of month period, I generate this big profit. And again, as I said before, when you start to do, say, $30,000 a trade as an example, you start to do 200, 300% return, you start to do what? $60,000, $90,000 profit on a trade, another $60,000. You see what I'm saying? Before you know it, at the end of the year, you're doing some really good numbers by the end of the year. I've never been able to, but to see how I personally trade, this is how I've been able to get ahead in the markets. But I'm talking about momentum, and I started off this video about the stuff that I'm doing in my life, right? So for example, I'm getting ready for, I did high rocks, now doing a 14-kilometer race, then I got my boxing fight. But for me to get ready for my boxing fight, guess what? I now need to spend many months training every week to get ready for what? My boxing fight, right? And that's where I think, but one thing that I'm seeing with a lot of you guys is that 1 week you're trading a triangle breakout. Next week you're trading stochastics divergences. Next week you're trading a spread strategy on there. Next week, like, you see what? See that there? Like the way that I personally trade now, it's the same thing every single day. It's nothing new. And I have done for many years. I'm not making something up. It's the same thing. Why? Because the patterns repeat. That simply means when I see my trading setup and I see the pattern appear, there's a real good high probability, especially what's called my level 2 trade, which is, the ones I'm in right now, they're likely to make big moves in the markets. So I really want to encourage you guys to think about the momentum in life, right? It takes time to have momentum, but are you putting in that daily work to gain that momentum, right? That's the repetition of the markets. Then you start to understand these markets even more. You know what I mean? And that's when things really start to click for you. So if you ever want to get to a point where you're not lucky on a trade, but for the rest of your life you're going to do really well, then there's a consistency behind that. And that's where, unfortunately, guys, you've got two different choices there, right? You can invest in a coach like me who's done it for 20 years, and I can take you through it. Within 1 year, I can take you through what's taken me 20 years to figure out. And I say 1 year, right? It doesn't have to take 1 year, but there's a learning process there, right? There's always a learning process to everything, and so on and so forth. But I always see that with a lot of people, because they're jumping around from system to system to system, there's no there. That's one. There's no momentum, right? So what ends up happening 6 months later, right? Nothing, because it's like, I'm starting from scratch again. I'm starting from scratch. No, I'm not using stochastics this day. I'm using MACD. No, I'm not using MACD. I'm using Bollinger Band. No, I'm doing strangles. No, I'm doing spreads. You know what I mean? Like there's actually, it's like they're looking for anything just to grab any short-term thing, instead of like what I said to my girlfriend, friend of a girl, who, again, but she's brand new to the markets, right? And I said, if you're willing to spend a good couple of years really knocking down and focusing on the right things and getting good at that with your brain and building confidence and seeing it again and building time, then in a couple of years I've always looked at trading as, even when I was $250,000 in debt and struggling, I always looked at that, even if it takes me 10 years to figure this out. If it takes me 10 years to figure this out, but I can have a bare minimum multiple six-figure year income and trading like the way they trade now, and I only trade an hour a day, really, maybe a couple of hours a day at maximum if I'm going to spend there looking at the markets and so on and so forth. So maybe say 2 hours a day maximum I spend on the markets these days. That's doing because I have scans and so on and so forth. Is all that gaining and learn the process, is it worth to be able to potentially have a multiple six-figure income by only trading, a couple of hours per day and then having the freedom to do other stuff? Is it worth going through that 2 years? And most people would say, yes, it's worth it, but I want it now. And because it's not now, they don't do anything. But that 2 years then becomes the present, and you're like, shit, what's going on in my life? And they repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat. And that's been the blessing thing in my life right now, is that I really honed down on this one type of trading style that works on all markets. And it really has been a blessing for me to not only understand the markets a lot more on a deeper level, but spot opportunities that I can see. And as you guys have been watching me, right, platinum and so on and so forth. So anyway, traders, my whole thing about this here is there's a lot of momentum in life, and 2030 is going to come around, right? And wherever you are in 2030 is going to be a direct result of what you've started implementing right now, right? Because I know in 2030, I'm going to be trading the exact same way I trade right now. Actually, I'm probably going to be a lot better at it because I've continued to get better and better and better and better at it. Make sense, guys? So anyway, traders, if you would like to join me every day for a couple of hours, in my what's called 1% group, where I'm with you for a couple of hours, helping you and coach you and guide you, then just go to getjohnshelp.com, or there should be a link in the description there. Click on that. Go fill out the application form. You will know I personally will have a good chat on the phone, and I'll see if I can help you out with your trading. Speak to you soon, guys.